Piper Terrett, welcome to YouTube.
Thank you, Graham. How are you doing?
Good, and I'm calling these a tubecast. I'm hoping no one has come up with that name yet.
Does make me think of a toilet roll, though, for some reason.
Oh, does it? Oh, well, maybe it still needs some work. Yeah, a tubecast. Okay, well, what would you call it then?
I've no idea.
But
Oh no, that sounds worse, actually, doesn't it?
Okay,
No,
yeah.
it's probably just because because Stellan is obsessed with toilets and poo at the moment. So
How old is he?
5.
Right.
Yeah,
well, he's
5 in
normal. That's
October.
good news.
That is normal. Yeah, yeah.
Right. Okay. So
yeah,
okay.
Tubecast. No, it's probably good, actually.
Mind you could confuse it with maybe somebody thinks we do it on an underground train in London. So.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it'd be a bit difficult to do that at the moment, wouldn't it?
I don't know what we call this, but basically you use the audio from this for your podcast, don't you?
That's right. Yeah.
Well, you better plug that then, because that's where we can get the real deal. This is just the rough version of all the stuff of most of the stuff that Piper cuts out.
That's not true. I keep you going for as long as I can, cutting bits and using them for all sorts of different podcasts. And sometimes I dig things out from July and
is it some archive material?
Sometimes, yeah.
So what's the podcast is called Lockdown Lowdown?
It's called the Local Lowdown now because
you've changed the name.
We were out of lockdown, weren't we? And now we're back in, aren't we? So I think I should change it back.
Okay, and it's all part of Happening in Hearts, which is your Hertfordshire website.
That's right. Yeah, mainly for for Hoddesdon, Hertford, and Ware.
Okay, and what is happening in Hearts?
It's happening, man. It is a local website. We've got a blog. We mostly promote local businesses. So we've got a business directory, and we've got a store now. Exciting thing we're going to be doing, which is a little crazy, is we're going to be doing grocery boxes of items from local businesses.
And that's perfect for lockdown, getting it delivered too. But it's all local produce, locally produced.
That's right. So yeah, things
because during lockdown as well, they're the ones that are. I don't think the supermarkets are having too much of a problem at the moment.
No.
But the local independent stores, because they can only do click and collect. I think if they're allowed to do that, that's great.
Some of them are allowed. If they're food stores, they're allowed to be open. But yeah, it's not easy, and a lot of the cafes are having a really hard time. They're losing a lot of money, and a lot. Some of them have. Well, I mean, it varies. Obviously, the pubs are supposed to be shut. Some of them are doing takeaway, but some of them aren't bothering because it's just not really worth them. Spending the money on the staff and things.
And there's no end in sight to this thing. And the thing is, since this started nearly a year ago, because it's February now, and it started in March.
Yeah.
Since it started nearly a year ago, everyone's been thinking this will be over in 3 months. And it seems that people...
It's like the war, isn't it?
Yeah, all done by Christmas, the First World War.
Yeah.
But it seems that we're only ever looking like 3 months ahead. Nobody would have predicted it would have lasted this long.
No.
And now with these variants, what's the latest one? The California one. You heard this one? We've gone through the...
No.
Well, there was the Kent one, wasn't there?
And then the Kent one.
Was it Brazil?
Sounds very middle class.
Yeah, it was a very middle class one.
You only get it if we shop at Waitrose.
That's right. That's where you get it. And then there was the Brazil one, wasn't there? And I think there's a California one now. Isn't there a South African one, maybe?
Yeah, there's a South African one because my father-in-law lives in Zambia and they're banned. I think they have to stay in those special hotels or whatever it is if he had to come over.
And the silly thing is now we still haven't closed the borders. Yet 2 countries I have personal experience of handling this thing really well, Australia and New Zealand. They closed the borders before we even locked down. I know this because I was in New Zealand and I was due to go to Australia when that happened. And we arrived, and then they said after we arrived, if you arrive like the day after we arrived, you have to quarantine for 2 weeks. And this was before Britain. This was last February. This was before Britain went into lockdown. And then they said, oh, no, you really should quarantine for 2 weeks. And my mate, Phil, did you ever meet Ugly Phil? He was on Fixed Radio, did the breakfast show.
I did chat to him on the radio in the morning a few times.
Ugly Phil, he went back to Australia.
Oh, yeah.
And a few months back, when he arrived, they meet you at the airport, they take you to a quarantine hotel, they put you in the room, and they don't even give you a room key.
Oh,
and
really?
You're in there for 2 weeks, and that's everyone who arrives in Australia. And they've had that for, almost as long as this thing's been going. And Australia and New Zealand, New Zealand just doesn't have the virus. And Australia, sporting events are still full with, 20 to 40,000 people. Yeah, there's just no social. It's all because they controlled the borders. Now, it's easier, particularly for New Zealand, to do that because they're so isolated down there in the bottom of the world, little island. Little trickier for Australia, but they've done it. They haven't had as much success, actually. They've had, now and again, different states. Victoria, I know, had some issues, and they had to close the Victorian border and things like that. But they know that they've used the model of controlling the borders, and it's worked. And yet we still haven't done that. There's talk of it, but they still haven't done that. And, we were like one of the worst in the world. However, we're one of the best for the rollout of the vaccine.
We are. Well, it helps having our own, vaccine companies, actually.
Yeah, and Brussels don't like that, do they? Goodness me.
No. I wasn't a fan of Brexit at all, but not to get into that comedy cul-de-sac. But saying that, maybe it wasn't such a bad idea.
Do you know what? It's funny you should say that, because I was against Brexit. I thought, coming out of the EU, rather than giving us more freedom, would give us less. Because first of all, you can't go and work in Europe without jumping through a load of hoops and work permits and all the rest of it. And also, I don't think that this dinky little island, as an economic power, can compete with massive economic powers like the United States or China, and now the EU, on its own. It'd be better to be, what do they say? It's better to be inside the tent peeing out than outside the tent peeing in, or something. Whatever it is. It just didn't make any sense. And when you see the success when Europe gets together of things like Airbus, for years, Boeing and McDonnell Douglas, the Americans, dominated commercial aviation and selling big jets. And Britain had so many aircraft manufacturers. What was the one in Hatfield? De Havilland. You had Bristol and Vickers and all the others. Was it Avro? We had all these different aircraft manufacturers. Never once competed with the American airliners. Even though we had a great airliner, the VC-10, it never outsold the Boeing 707. And once we got together and became Airbus starts outselling in some sectors Boeing. And McDonnell Douglas and Boeing had to merge to compete with Airbus. It seemed, we should get together with our European counterparts and use the best assets of it. It just made sense to me.
Yeah.
However, I've had an example this week that maybe Brexit is the right way to go. As you know, Piper, where am I right now?
In the cupboard.
It's a
cupboard
studio.
cast.
It's a studio.
Sorry, it's the studio. It's the studio.
my studio is actually in my wardrobe. After I got fired from my radio job, when they found someone cheaper to do my job, when that happened, I had to work out how to make a living from home because of lockdown, because I got fired in February last year. So I converted my wardrobe into a studio, and I do a weekly radio show on Podcast Radio, 5 p.m. every Friday. And I also record audiobooks. And so far, I've done 29 audiobooks.
Good grief. Is that how many you've done? That's amazing.
29. All available on on audible.co.uk, audible.com, iTunes, Apple, if you want audiobooks. Anyway, so I've done 29 since May last year. All from this wardrobe. I'm moving out of the wardrobe.
No. Where to?
The audiobook business has become so successful that I can now afford to buy a purpose-built studio. Now, not a giant purpose-built studio, but bigger than this. This is 600 millimeters or half a meter by about a meter, right? This is the space I'm in now. My new studio will be 1 meter wide and 1.5 meters long.
Woo!
It's you can buy these things. They're called vocal isolation booths, and they're made of really thick material that blocks out pretty much all sound. Because right now, there's a main road back. Sometimes I have to stop in the middle of what I'm recording to let the motorbikes and the trucks go by. Yeah. So these vocal booths, you can buy them. And lots of people make them. And they deliver them. And you put them together like an IKEA wardrobe. And you get them. Now, I was going to get one from a company in Spain. And it was great. It was all decked out, had lighting and everything. And then I started reading about people who have ordered things online from the EU. Have you read these stories?
No.
There was a lady in the Daily Mail, and she ordered, I think it was...
Oh, it's always the Daily Mail, though.
Yeah. If it's anti-EU, it's Daily Mail. Anyway, she ordered some clothes online from a European organisation. I think she did it. It was actually via eBay or Amazon even. I don't know. Anyway, she ordered this stuff. And when it arrived, she was forced to pay an extra 20% VAT.
Oh, no.
Then she was also forced to pay some duty. And then on top of that, the couriers charged them an extra handling fee because of the nuisance it was when it arrived in the port.
No. Oh.
So she ended up, I think she was supposed to spend about, I'll probably get these numbers completely wrong, but I'm going to make them up. She was supposed to spend 85 quid, and she ended up spending nearly 200 quid. Anyway, but that might not be right.
Hope she liked them.
But even the 20% VAT is a lot, because these booths, these recording booths, they cost thousands. And this one in Spain, I think all up it was going to cost me about £4,500. Well, even if I just had to pay 20% VAT on top of that, it's gonna, be a serious thing. And never mind the duty and whatever the handling charge that the delivery company would charge, and that's not even regulated. They can charge whatever they like. They can just make up a number, pull a number out.
Spend another £1,000.
Easy.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
So then I had to look round and find one in the UK. And I found one, and they're brilliant. They're called Cube, K-U-B-E, and they're in Ripon in North Yorkshire. And they've been brilliant to deal with, and I've ordered one, and it'll be here in about 8 weeks.
So where is it going to go? Where are you going to put it?
In the other side of the bedroom. See, this was a wardrobe, right? So what I did was I got a rack to put my shirts and stuff on.
I remember.
And put the rack on the other wall. So what I'll do is I'll move all the shirts and everything back in here. And the place where the rack is, we've also got some filing cabinets. We're going to sell one of those filing cabinets, and that will all just slot in there. So 1 meter by 1.5 meters. It's got a door on it and lighting and a ventilation system, so you don't die in there. And,
good. Relief.
I've had shelves specially made at the right height to put the computer and the mouse and everything, and the lighting and everything, so that we're good for the video. And it's just going to be perfect. But it costs. I think it's going to cost, and once again, I'm fudging the figures, but about £1,000 more than what the Spanish one would have cost without what the Spanish one would have cost in January, right?
Yeah.
But having said that, if that means that this business in Yorkshire makes a sale they wouldn't have made, and they hire people and they pay their wages and give them work, what's wrong with that? I'd rather pay an extra £1,000 to them for their more expensive box. And from what I can see, it's not £1,000 more box. It's just it costs £1,000 more. But I'd rather pay that than, overall, the amount of musicians who are out of. They can't play live now, and they're just doing recordings and stuff. Well, that's what these boxes are great for that too, and they build them to any size. I mean, I've just bought a voiceover one, so it's small. But if you played a drum kit or something, they'll build a big one. If you're a whole band, they'll build one of whatever size you want.
Yeah.
Well, and people would have previously been buying these Spanish ones. Well, isn't that kind of good for Britain and the economy?
Yeah.
So there is.
Oh, Rule Britannia and all that jazz.
Well, I didn't see it because I'm not really that much of a nationalist, but I really didn't see it that way until this happened. And I don't know if that's a good or a bad example. And, time will tell whether Brexit's been a good idea or not. But I never thought it was a good idea. Never. Until this. And now I think, if I was running a business and competing with a European, I mean, it's anti-capitalism because it's not a free market. It's a protectionist market. But then again, we're about to head into like the biggest recession we've ever seen. Maybe we need every little bit of help we can. I don't know if I don't know if it works the other way. If you are exporting to Europe, maybe you get killed the other way. I don't know. But if you're bringing something in, it's better to buy British now. It never used to be, but for this particular thing, there must be other things too. So I'm kind of changing my mind on that. How did we get onto Brexit? Because you said you didn't want to get onto Brexit.
Oh, it was a throwaway line. No, I didn't say anything about Brexit. No, it was my fault. I mentioned Brexit. I said maybe Brexit wasn't such a bad idea because of the vaccines, but
because of the vaccine.
Oh, the joys of lockdown. Yeah.
So you enjoy?
How's this? Yeah.
How's what?
Am I enjoying it?
Yes.
No, I'm not enjoying lockdown.
What's wrong with lockdown?
Homeschooling is the main problem.
I mean, the worst problem about the pandemic is the over 100,000 people dying.
Well,
and all the sick people. That's hard to beat. That's pretty bad. Horrible thing. And kind of everything else seems trivial when you say, the homeschooling. But it can't be. So we need to, apart from the over 100,000 people who have died.
The Black Death. And
what's so bad about homeschooling? Spending more time with the child who you love and adore, the apple of your eye, spending quality time with them, not worrying about what kind of crazy socialist ideas that the teachers are going to be putting into their heads, not having to worry about any of that, or the artificial fears that if there's one flake of snow, they close the school in case all the children die, when in actual fact all the children go to the nearest hill and slide down it at 400 miles an hour, tobogganing. It's more dangerous to close the school. You don't have any worries of school. You don't have all the worries of the uniform and taking the correct kit and the right lunch money and all the other things, all the drama that must go along with sending a kid to school. You've got it all self-contained and fully controlled. What's not to like?
Well, I think our homeschool needs to be put into special measures, quite frankly. It may even be closed down tomorrow. I don't know. Oh, Graham, if you spent, sort of 24 hours a day with a 5-year-old, a very, very bouncy 5-year-old that you're not really supposed to take out anywhere in February. We are in February now. Happy birthday, Dad. It's my dad's birthday today.
Happy birthday to your dad.
Happy birthday, Dad. Sorry, Dad, I'm talking to Graham and when I should be on the phone to you. It's awful. And then you've got all this so they've got all this pent up energy. He just bounces off the walls and the sofas all day long. You can't get any work done because my husband has got the proper job, so he's upstairs working away. Where I am now, actually, this is where the magic happens.
Okay.
This is where the real money is made.
This is the engine room, yeah.
This is the engine room. It is, yeah. This is the engine room. He gets to shut the door and get on with work. I'm downstairs attempting to do some stuff when Stellan is distracted. And then we have last year when we were on lockdown, he was in nursery, so things school wasn't compulsory. Plus, they were a bit more lackadaisical about, well, here's some stuff, but don't worry about it too much. This year, because Ofsted's breathing down all the schools next, you have a whole full list of stuff to do every day, and everybody panics about it because you can't get them to sit down and do any of it. That's a problem.
So they send you a syllabus kind of thing?
Yeah. It's basically what they're teaching the key worker kids at school. So it might start off with Joe Wicks. So I'm dressed to do Joe Wicks in a little bit.
Right.
That's not so bad because that's quite fun. But then they have a Zoom call at 9:30
with a teacher.
With a teacher, yeah, with our teacher, Mr. Price, and they all sit there and have to do phonics, and they go, "Here's my knickers," or something, Oh, look, there's my, or suddenly go, "Look, here's my dog." Well, they go, yes, spell out, P, UG or whatever. So I have that, and then we have things like math lessons, and we have to do all kinds of different things with them, and it's really hard. And then you're supposed to upload the work so the teacher can see it, and all the mums particularly, because it's falling mainly on the mums. They all get very stressed because some of them have got full-time jobs and they're trying to do that and teach
at
kids
home.
at the same time.
Yeah.
Maybe more
home.
than one child. Different, one might be at secondary school, one might be at primary school, and.
But do you get the bonuses that teachers get? Do you get to knock off at 3 o'clock and 10 weeks holiday and all that? Do you get all that?
No, no, we don't. We maybe knock off at 3, but then that's when you actually try and start doing some work.
Right, and of course then you've got a house to run as well.
YouTube.
Yeah,
there is that. The house is just a nightmare. I don't even go there. It's just
Right. Okay. Well, I don't see. Why don't they just vaccinate the teachers?
This is what they need to do. They really need to. Yeah.
That makes no sense to me. You've got to protect the most vulnerable in society, which are the elderly. But by and large, do the elderly go out that much? Surely you could isolate them easier than you could isolate any other section of the community. And that would protect them while you vaccinate all the teachers and the police and the key workers and the nurses and the doctors and stuff. Wouldn't that make more sense?
Probably. I don't know.
I know that might sound like I'm being really mean to old people, but they are easy to isolate because by and large they do stay home or they're in a facility if they're really, to vaccinate them against something they've got less chance of coming into contact with than, say, a policeman or a nurse. It doesn't seem right to me. I think one of the politicians has said that this week, haven't they? I forget from which side. Labour, I think. I don't know. I don't
somebody
like agreeing with politicians. I really don't.
But they I know someone was doing a petition, but I have brought some of Stellan's work with me in case she wanted to.
Oh yes, to see let's. Well, maybe you could test me and see. Am I as smart as a 5-year-old? Oh wow!
Oh well, what about that? This is yes, this is a story map.
Yes,
you can see very well. But and this is they had to do a story map about a story that was a bit like the Gingerbread Man. And so we had Cheeseburger Man and Ralphie the dog. That's our pug.
I'm not familiar with the Gingerbread Man story. I know the Gingerbread Man. There's a Gingerbread Man, but I didn't realise he had a story to him as well.
Oh yes, so a Pressy is that basically an old lady makes a gingerbread man and then he comes alive and runs off before she can eat him, and then various other shouting, "You can't catch me, I'm the gingerbread man." And then various other animals and people try and eat him on the way, and then eventually a very wily fox persuades him to jump on his back because there's a river, and then of course the fox eats him. So we had to.
It doesn't even have a happy ending.
No, well, most of these kids' stories are utterly brutal. Haven't you noticed this? Jack and the Beanstalk.
Yeah.
Jack. It's fine to go and steal stuff from as long as it's from a giant, and then basically he kills him at the end because he cuts the beanstalk down. And the giant comes crashing down, and then there's various different versions of Red Riding Hoods with grandmas being eaten and cat out of the wolf's tummy and all sorts of things. So
how does Cheeseburger Man fare then?
Well, you see, what happened was, obviously, we have a pug called Ralphie, and pugs are very greedy. And if Ralphie's lovely, but if he can steal anybody's food, he will. And famously, he stole a cheeseburger off Stellan's plate last year that we'd got.
The whole cheeseburger?
The whole cheeseburger, yeah. He did. He just went. So we thought we would turn this into a story. Yeah,
brilliant.
He ran across the room with it. It's really, and he's quite fat. He got very fat during lockdown, but he's amazing how fast he can run when food is involved, or some other contraband.
Right,
yeah.
I see. So do you get to mark Stellan's work then?
I suppose I do. Yeah,
because that's a 10 really right there.
What's that?
That's 10 out of 10. That piece of work there.
Oh, I'm glad you think so. It's very good.
And it's based on a true story, or it's inspired by real events.
You could call it plagiarism, obviously, as well.
No.
But yes, it's true.
No.
I'm not quite sure how to mark this one, though.
What I can't
that.
really. I can see.
Can't really see it.
It's writing. Yeah, and a
Yeah,
picture
that's good.
of a
This
house.
is Mummy. I'm not quite sure what that is, but this is Mummy on the toilet.
Right.
And then this is a bottom. There's a bottom on the roof for some reason.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
So the toilet theme continues.
I think you should keep Stellan's work away from anyone involved in child psychology at this stage. Or social
this
services.
is a good one. Here's a bit of English.
Yes.
I did a poo.
Okay. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's Brian the poo.
The poo has a name.
The poo has a name. Well, we gave the poo a name. Yes, that's a very big poo.
Yeah.
But that's a lovely drawing of our ladder bookshelf again. It seems to feature greatly.
Well, you can't really blame him because, as you said earlier, that kids' stories often have a gruesome ending. Also, the things that kids, I've seen books, I've seen Painting with Pooh as a book. As a child's book. Yeah, Painting with Pooh. It was in a similar series. It was Cooking with Pooh, Painting with Pooh, and there was Fun with Pooh. I mean, they're just asking for trouble there, aren't they?
It certainly is, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow.
Definitely.
So, all right. So lockdown, that's quite the challenge. The homeschooling.
It is a bit. Well, what's one of the biggest requirements is gin or wine or
and what
something
about
like that.
When it comes to playtime? Does he get to Zoom with his friends?
Oh, we've done a little bit of that. Yeah, I mean, it's quite nice when he has his Zoom call in the morning because he sees his mates and things on there. And sometimes they dress up. Sometimes they have like Friday dress up and things.
Yeah.
And that's quite sweet. And even the teacher dresses up. He dressed up as Superman last week.
Oh, did he?
Okay. Yeah, occasionally he does Zoom with his mates. The problem is they just get kind of bored and wander off,
During Zoom?
Well, the kids can do, yeah, because they're not. Although he likes spending time staring at Mummy's phone, watching YouTube videos and whatever, Ninja Turtles or videos or something. They don't really have much of an attention span, so they struggle to sit and talk to their mates on the phone and things.
Wow.
At this age, anyway. I mean, my world is a 5-year-old's world, so.
Yeah, I'm so glad I'm not involved in any of that.
Oh, honestly, and you're really not missing out.
Because my problems now seem very trivial.
Oh yes, no, go on, tell me.
No, this one had a happy ending. This I don't know if you've heard of. This is my astronaut pen.
I didn't know about that.
Okay, I've had this for years. In fact, this is about the fourth one I've had because I become unhealthily attached to my current astronaut pen. Actually, I've had this one a long time. And it is the Fischer Space Pen. It is the pen that was developed to give to the American astronauts so that if ever I'm in the weightless environment of space, I can still write upside down and whatever. It's my Fischer Space Pen. And I have to know where it is at all times. In fact, it's very unusual for me to not be wearing a shirt with a top pocket because I like to put it in the top pocket. But I'm always checking if I got my astronaut pen.
Really?
And the other day it went missing. And it was a day where I hadn't been out the house for 4 days. So there was absolutely no way it was not in this flat.
4 days? My God.
But I didn't know where the astronaut pen had gone. And of course I did the usuals. I searched down the side of the couch and it wasn't there. And I turned everything upside down and I didn't find it. And then 2 full days later, I decided I'll go and check, and I'll check down the couch again. And I checked down the couch again, and there it was.
Oh.
Clearly, there is a portal in the couch into a fourth dimension where this space pen was in that fourth dimension. And the portal then, a couple of days later, reopened and allowed me to reach back into the fourth dimension and retrieve the pen. That is the only answer to what has happened.
Well, it's a space pen, isn't it? So it probably yearns to be in space somewhere.
Yeah, and this fourth dimension
could be
run by aliens or something who want to go, what's the space penny so attached to? Let's make sure we get that and have a quick look at that. We'll take it to bits and we'll put it all back together. A couple of days later, we'll put it back. And that's
Do you
clearly
think it's been probed?
I think it may have been probed. I don't know which end is the you would place the anal probe in a space pen, but I'm sure if you are into that kind of thing, you know exactly how to handle that.
Well, aliens are supposed to be, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah. So that was one problem.
Give it a good wash. That's what I say.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. It's like, what's the joke? What's the difference between an anal thermometer and an oral thermometer?
I don't know.
The taste. Yeah.
Oh!
Yes. Bad joke. Okay. And the other problem I had, which turned out to be a problem, also was related to space. You know how when I first started audiobooks, I started getting scammed. And I told you about the meditation book. I did I think it was supposed to be a 10-hour meditation book, and they didn't pay me. And then the thing just disappeared, and clearly they've downloaded all the audio and put out the book without paying me. Yeah, so I got scammed. So I'm hyper vigilant now for scams because you can get ripped off very easily with this thing. And I did an audition for a book, and it was an astronomy book.
Ooh!
And it was written by a very, very world-famous astronomer. The guy is actually the Vatican astronomer. If you're a fan of that kind of thing, you'll know who I'm talking about. This guy is a big deal. So this is a guy, and this book was a massive bestseller. And this deal it wasn't a straight, some books they pay you per finished hour. This was one where they pay you 50% royalties for every book sale. Well, 50% of 40%. So basically it's 20%. Every time one of these audiobooks gets sold anywhere in the world, you get 20% of the cover price. And it was selling for about 20 quid, So, and this thing would be a massive seller because the hardback and the paperback versions were just, New York Times bestseller list. There were huge sales. I mean, this guy could literally have got Professor Brian Cox or Stephen Fry to read it easily. He could afford that. This audiobook would make that much money. And I thought, this is great. Yeah. And I thought, in the back of my mind, I was thinking, it's a little too good to be true. I've done 30-odd audiobooks. You would have thought they would have picked someone, or maybe someone who knew something about astronomy might have been, a good start. But it went for open audition and I got it. And okay. So I get about 4 pages in, and there's photographs of the moon which are labelled.
Okay.
Well, how do you do that as an audiobook?
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, well, this is red flag number 2. Red flag number 1, too good to be true. Red flag number 2. So I thought, hang on. So I looked at the publishers of the book, and the publishers of the print version of the book were Cambridge University Press.
Okay.
Okay, fine. So then I looked at the publishers of the audio book. It was some bloke called Larry. He's just called Larry.
Larry. All right. Okay.
So I'm starting to smell a rat now. So I tracked down this astronomer because he's world famous. He was based in an American university, so he was easy to email. His email was, his name at the university of wherever it was. So I emailed him. But I thought, well, I don't want to shoot myself in the foot if this is genuine. I don't want to accuse him of, being up to something, or even let him know that I'm starting to think I'm not in the right league for this book. I can't say, you could get someone really good to do this. Which would make him, So I just said, hey, love your book. Thanks for choosing me as your narrator and producer for the audiobook version. Can't wait to get going. If you've any tips or, any particular words that might be tricky to pronounce, space.
Most of it.
Please, could you let me know? So he basically emailed back and said, audiobook? I've been on to my publishers. We're not turning. It wouldn't work as an audiobook because a lot of it's pictures.
Yeah, exactly.
So then I knew straight away I'd been had. So I got on to ACX, which is the audio content exchange, which is owned by Audible, which is Amazon, and said, look, this has happened, this is clearly fake, and let them know, and it disappeared. But I could have done the whole book. The whole book was 12 hours. I could have done 12 hours worth, and I would have got nothing, or it would have gone on sale for a little while, and then once they got sprung, they would have shut it down. Because I had one like that. Did I tell you about that?
No, I don't remember that one.
The best-selling audio, because like I said, some of them I do per finished hour, and some of them I do royalty share. The royalty share one, I did a royalty share one. Remember I told you about the FODMAP diet?
Yeah, the FODMAP diet, yeah.
It's a diet for people with irritable bowel syndrome.
Yeah,
anyway, I did that book, and I have to admit, I hated doing it. Hated it. It was the first half of the book was all medical terms, so it was a lot of Latin. And the second half of the book was all recipes. So it was a lot of French and Italian ingredients. So it was a horrible book to do, because you do like 4 lines and then you have to look up how to pronounce this word. And then you do 4 lines and you know how to pronounce it, so it takes ages. So I hated doing it. And it wasn't paying per finished hour, it was paying a royalty share. So I had to wait 3 months till it went on sale, and it takes ages for things to go on sale and then for the money to come in. But then when it did, it was selling like a house on fire. So I'm like, hey, I've done it now. I don't care. I don't have to do it anymore. And it's every month I'm getting a royalty check for this thing. Fantastic. And then I got a message from ACX saying, this is no longer on sale. The guy broke the rules. And from what I think happened was he just downloaded the Kindle version and then put it out for an audiobook and claimed all the money. So he made as much money as I did. They didn't make me give the money back because I hadn't done anything wrong. So you still got to watch out for this guy. It's still the Wild West. It's still the Wild West. You have to.
At least you got paid though.
Yeah, I got that. Yeah, but it's not making any more. I was getting paid every month from the thing,
That's what they're banking
without doing any more work. Hey?
They get someone to do the work, and then they're able to make money for a short period as a window until they get caught.
And that's obviously what this astronomer one was up to.
Yeah.
But he doesn't own they don't own the rights. Now I think maybe ACX should vet them a bit better. It shouldn't be up to the narrator producer to do their vetting for them, if you ask me. They're the ones that should somehow get the rights hold. I mean, it wouldn't take much. All you have to do is Google the author, send them a quick message, just can you confirm that this is now being produced by Larry? And if it comes back, never heard of it, then it just doesn't even get posted and go out for audition. That doesn't seem like a lot of work on their part for them to run a better thing. But they're literally relying on the narrators to discover the scams, which I think that's a little bit unfair, because we should be busy recording books.
Yeah, exactly. Not having to check that every commission you get is actually genuine.
Well, yeah. It's not an issue on the paid per finished hour ones, and they've got to be genuine, because who's going to pay cash, a few $100s per hour of say a 10-hour book for it to only be on sale for 3 months? They're just not going to do that. It's the royalty share ones where they've got no skin in the game. So they don't have to check all of the books that come in, only the royalty share deals. So I don't know why they haven't got I don't know. It's been interesting.
Haven't got around doing it, but
at the moment I'm working on 4 books. One of them's about self-improvement. The other one is a sci-fi book. The other one is a ghost story. It's a sequel. I've done the first one for her. She's in Pennsylvania, and I'm just doing the second one now. And the other one is like a fantasy one with shapeshifters, wolves that turn into humans and stuff. So I'm doing 4 good ones at the moment.
I've worked for a few of those. Yeah.
What shapeshifters? You worked in radio. Oh, you worked in media, didn't you? Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that sounds good. So which one's your favourite at the moment?
I like the ghost story one. The first one was called Shadows of the Past. Yeah. And it starts out, it's not a ghost story, but it becomes a ghost story and time travel. It's great.
Ooh.
And I'm doing the sequel to that now. I'm 3 hours into the sequel. That's my favourite at the moment. Yeah. But the thing is, it's working with the authors. The lady who's doing the fantasy one, she's in Ireland. The ghost one, she's in Pennsylvania. The self-improvement, he's in Warrington. And what's the other one? Oh, the science fiction one. I don't know where he is, actually, because I only just started that one. But then, I worked with a guy in China and a lady and a lady. I did 5 books. Was it 10 books for Winita she's in Canada near Niagara Falls. And then there's Danielle Pai. She's in Florida. So they're all over. And
so you are getting to travel in a manner of speaking. You and your pen.
From the wardrobe.
Going through the porter, from the wardrobe.
Yeah.
From the cupboard cast.
About that. And I did interview the authors like this. Once the book's out to talk about their book.
Yeah.
I spoke to a lady last week, and I didn't realize because the book was dark. Ooh, the book was
really.
It's dark. It's called Pride, and Colonel's Conquest or something. Dark. So it's set in like a dystopian future, but dark and brutal, where the women are owned by the men. Dark. Anyway, so I'm talking to her. It turns out it's a whole genre. They're called bully books.
Really?
Never even heard of it. Because I said to her, this book's dark, isn't it? What's nice girl are you doing? Like, I didn't say that, but, no, this is a big genre. This is bully books. I'm like, all right. Yeah, never even heard of it before. Where women are not treated nicely at all.
So who's a target market? Is it women that like the idea of fantasizing that being bullied, or is it the
women are definitely dominate. I wouldn't say
I want to know.
Although it was called a bully book, I wouldn't say the women were bullied. Well, maybe they were. They were clearly second-class citizens in this world that she'd created. But it's like I'm just finding out. It's just been. I mean, reading books out loud doesn't sound like that exciting, but. It's amazing, and then the non-fiction ones I do, usually about self-improvement or marketing or financial independence and it's like I'm learning as well.
That's good. You seem to be enjoying it all.
Wait till I get this new studio. It's 8 weeks away. We've just got to work out how to get it in the house and get it up because we're on the 4th floor, although we do have a lift, but the walls are really heavy because you need density to block sound. This foam, this only blocks reverberation. To actually soundproof, you need density. And this thing's pretty heavy and pretty thick, but it's going to be great when it's all up and running. And I'll give
you really exciting. Will you give us a tour?
Oh yeah, I'll give you a tour when we do a chat. I'll give you the full tour.
Excellent.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that.
So I'm so glad it's all doing well because I remember when you started up last year and it was a little precarious at times.
It was, yeah.
Like you say, people trying it on and stuff. So that's
there was
really
all
cool.
that, and there was my severance package from getting fired was not going to last forever, and I couldn't get a radio job because no one was even interviewing because of lockdown and stuff. And then the podcast radio work came along, and that was great, which means I get to interview. Well, I interviewed Alan Alda and Dom Jolly and all the people who were guests on the radio show, and that's all done from in here, and that's all been fun. And then in between that, putting that show together, it's all done from here. Is doing the audio books. I'm having a great time. I've just got to work my diet out because. No matter, even though the new box is going to be bigger, it still might feel the same size as this one if I keep because I'm just not exercising. Like
you don't look any bigger. I'm a bit bigger. I'm a bit bigger.
Yeah.
We're trying to be good and do the Joe Wicks. Actually, one of the exciting I don't know. You might be able to do this. There's probably not enough room in your cupboard, but Doug has got a treadmill.
Right.
I don't know if you can see that.
Oh yeah.
Can you see that?
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
So he spends all his time on conference calls, and he's really busy, and he can't get out a lot of the time. In fact, he's downstairs sulking right now, because I said, "I'm really sorry. I know you normally go for a walk at this time, but I have to talk to Graham."
Why doesn't he do the conference calls? Are they video or?
Yeah, they're video.
Well, he could set the computer up in front of the treadmill, and he could treadmill while he's on the conference call.
This is what he does now.
Oh, he does.
He's got a mini treadmill. Yeah, he's got this desk. He's added something funky to so that it will go up and down with buttons.
Yeah.
And then he can
stand
as long as
at the
he's
desk.
not presenting, he can stand at the desk, and he's getting like an hour and a half of walking in a day on top of going for a walk or going for a run, just from that. And it seems to be working. And at the weekends,
he needs to hook the treadmill up to a generator so that if he stops, the conference call dies because there's no juice for the computer.
That's a really good idea. He could power the entire house by doing that.
I see. Yeah, really why waste the energy?
Yeah, exactly. Why waste it on the conference call when you could be, powering Netflix or something?
It's funny. We did talk about a treadmill. Was it yesterday or the day before? I mentioned it to Julie.
Yeah.
And you see, because when I worked in London, I used to walk from here to the railway station, which is probably maybe half a mile, slight uphill.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I'd walk up and down the stairs in our building, and, I'd go for a walk at lunchtime. I'd walk to Tower Bridge, or I'd walk the other way to Westminster. It was just great, because we're behind the Tate Modern, pretty much, is where we were. Right, so it's a good spot.
Yeah, we were in Southwark Street somewhere.
That's it, yeah, in Southwark.
Yeah, I used to work up the road.
Whereabouts?
I worked at the FT building.
Okay, righto. Yeah,
that's years ago. Yeah. Well, I've worked in Borough Market quite a few times.
We weren't
not actually on a stall, but in an office.
Yeah. So I was thinking, well, I'm not getting any of the just basic walking, and then I thought, I don't know, maybe I should just walk. So now if I need to get something from the shop, rather than go to there's a shop next door, the Stop and Rob, rather than go to the Stop and Rob, I could go to the Co-op, which is, but there's a Tesco by the railway station. So I walk up there, so I'm getting the equivalent walk. So I think that's a good trick. But I do have an objection to mechanical exercise equipment when the same thing is available in the environment, if you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. I had a friend who...
Yeah.
You had a friend who used to drive to the gym and then drive back, and I always thought, why don't just
park nearest the door?
Money?
Look at gym car parks. Everybody parks near the door.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Well, the one for me that we lived in when I worked at BR&B in Birmingham, we lived in a building which was the old BT building. It's right next to the BT Tower in Birmingham. If you've ever driven past Birmingham on the M6 and you see the BT Tower, there's a building next to that which is the old BT offices. They turned them into flats, and we lived in one of those flats. We were on the first or second floor, one of the lower floors, but the building itself was 10 floors, and in the basement of the building there was a gym that you could use if you were a resident in the flats. And what was crazy was people who lived on the 10th floor would get in the lift, go down the lift to the reception, leave for work in the morning, in Birmingham, because they were working in offices in Birmingham. It's in the city centre.
Yeah.
Then at the end of the day, they'd walk home, they'd get in the lift, they would go up 10 floors in the lift, they would change into their gym gear, get back in the lift, come back down, go into the gym in the basement, and work out on the stepping machine, the Stairmaster. And I always thought, if only they just used the stairs and never used the lift, they'd be fit as a fiddle and wouldn't have to do any exercise, would never have to go to the basement gym.
No.
So that's what puts me off the treadmill, is that, we have...
Yeah.
I understand the exercise bike, because who wants to ride a child's toy in traffic and get killed?
No,
because they're so much more dangerous per mile.
Exactly.
I get an exercise bike, you might want to do that, but you can walk on the pavement pretty much anywhere, and it's reasonably safe. Unless you're doing it at funny hours, why would you need a treadmill? Now I can't speak because for any of this, because Doug is obviously, he's doing it and I'm not, and I'm getting bigger and he's probably not, so I can't say that I'm right. He's clearly right.
But it's different,
and I'm
because
wrong.
he is going out, because I think the other thing is, because we're all stuck indoors as well, it's so important to be outside getting fresh air and seeing other things and stuff that takes your mind off, and the mental health aspect of being outside. This is all a bit serious for me. Is healthy. I've had a go on the treadmill. It makes me feel a bit seasick.
Does it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
think
don't
getting out. You're right about getting out, because for me, it's like I had to go to the doctor's a couple of weeks ago, and the doctor's is right in Hitchin, and we're about 1.5 miles from the centre of it. And it was such a treat just to walk, and I walked through the park, and, it was just a real treat. And there's no way anyone could say it wasn't a justified trip. I was going to the doctor's, and I've got a dentist appointment next Monday, and I'm really looking forward to that. Because it's near the doctor's. I have to walk all that way.
It's the little things,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looking forward to going to the dentist.
I've never been bothered with the dentist. Now, I don't like the dentist. No, I hate the hygienist, but I don't mind the dentist.
Passion.
Well, I don't like being told off, and that's all that the hygienist does. And I sit there and I'm thinking, I'm paying you to clean my teeth, and you're telling me off for me not cleaning them properly. When I go to get, the failed asylum seeker that washes my car doesn't tell me off for making it dirty.
No.
But the hygienist...
It's very true.
The hygienist thinks they've got the right to do that because, I don't know, maybe they presume they're more educated or something. The guy who washes my car speaks 2 languages. So, he's just as smart. But anyway.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, my one was always telling me, your teeth are falling out and your gums are receding, and I get in a real panic, and then I go to see the dentist and they say, no, it's all fine.
Right, okay.
Just drink a bit less Coca-Cola or Diet Coke or something.
That also doesn't make sense to me, because if I was a dentist, I'd be saying you should swill with Coca-Cola at least every hour.
Absolutely, yeah.
It makes no sense. Yeah. Dentists are always telling you how to avoid giving them money. What kind of business model is that?
It's very true.
They do all right. They do all right. I mean, the way that how a dentist calculates their bill?
No.
They take the price of a brand new Porsche 911 fully loaded. They take that figure and they divide that figure by the amount of patients they presume they will see per year, the amount of appointments. And when they divide that by the price of the Porsche, that's what you pay. That's how it's worked out.
Oh, that makes so much more sense now.
Yeah, they put other things on, like X-ray and check, but that's how it is. It's calculated. You'll find that by the end of the year, everybody that's visited that dentist, no matter how many times they've been or no matter how much work they've got, they've all paid exactly the same price. Because it's all averaged out, and it will be the percentage of the number of patients versus the price of the new Porsche. That's exactly how it's worked out. It's all very clever.
It's very clever. And on that bombshell, I shall have to go back to the real world of
school's about to begin, is it?
Homeschooling. Oh, yeah.
So what are the subjects this morning?
Well, be phonics, PE, phonics.
So what is phonics? Is that just spelling words out?
Yes. So instead of saying G, you would say G.
Okay, right.
So if I was going to spell out your name in phonics, I say G, R, A, H, A, M.
Okay.
Graham.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, because they a few years ago, some consultant working for the government decided that children learn more easily, learn how to read with from sound rather than looking at the letters and things. So, but he seems to be getting on all right with it.
Right. So you'll have a bit of that. So it'll be P.
Yeah, a bit of that. And then there's actions. I don't know. I can't do that. It's like and things like that. And L is.
Oh, all right. Oh, they've taken it to extreme. Right. Okay. It's just physical. Yeah.
Well, they're all sitting there doing that. Yeah. And handwriting, and there'll be some maths with Miss Molnar, who's somebody who's on a video. There's these videos, and she has her hand stuck up a hedgehog called Harold, who helps with the maths.
Right. Okay. Right.
And she said Harold likes to go swimming, and I said to Stellan, "Do you really think Harold likes to go swimming?" And Stellan said, "Mum, you do realise he's not a real hedgehog, and he is actually a puppet." Like, oh, really? Okay.
Right.
And lots of other things, and Mummy be pulling teeth and pouring rum into her coffee and that sort of thing.
Okay, well, good luck with that. Please try and stay sober for the sake of the child. And,
yes.
And great to talk to you. And where do we find out more? It's happeninginhearts.co.uk.
.com. Happeninginhearts.com.
Happeninginhearts.com. And you get all the info there. And you can find the podcast there. The podcast got the same name.
Yeah.
No, it's called The Local Lockdown now.
The local Lowdown.
The Local Lowdown.
We've had a local Lowdown with Happening in Hearts, but we've got a separate page for that. And we've had a bit of a break, mainly due to the homeschooling and the inability to actually do any work. But we are starting up again this week. At the end of the week, we'll be doing a new episode. And actually, I interviewed a deputy head who also runs a homeschooling, home tutoring business yesterday.
Right.
So
that'll be out soon.
Yes.
Okay. Pipe and Terrett, thank you very much for being on the Tubecast, if it's still called that, or the Ubecast, or I don't know.
The Cupboard Cast.
The Cupboard Cast. We'll have to change that as well.
We have to change that when you got
name as well.
Your fancy new studio. Yeah.
All right. Till next time. See ya.
See you next time. See you, Graham. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.